Alright, thanks for tuning in. This is Thomper Be Thompin', and in this video I just want to show you guys what it's like towing with the third generation Toyota Tundras. So I've got a third generation Toyota Tundra and I'm towing my camper, and the whole goal of this video is going to be to show you guys all the different information that you don't get in your regular instrument cluster. So I'm using a Scan Gauge 3 to record the transmission temperatures, the engine oil temperature, you know, things like that, coolant, boost pressure. They got the RPMs up there, and you have the engine load up there as well, and that's in a percentage, obviously, out of 100. Another unique thing that the Scan Gauge 3 can show you is what gear you're currently in. The current generation, the third generation Tundras do not show that information. And then it'll also tell you if your torque converter is locked up or not. So we are cruising through the mountains here from Virginia into West Virginia. Gonna go camping in Appalachia. And this is a pretty common thoroughfare. It's a good little mountain pass that takes you from about, well, in this drive, we're gonna do about 5.5 miles of climbing, and we're going to gain approximately 1,300 feet, and then we're going to descend for another 4.5 miles coming down the backside of the mountain pass, and we're going to lose about 900 feet. So I just want to show you going up the mountain and down the mountain. So I am in a 2023 Tundra. It's the limited trim, crew cab, short bed, 331 rear end, but all Tundras have that. It's just the basic four-wheel drive system, and I do have the rear air suspension. And this one's also gray. I don't know if that has anything to do with the you know, the towing performance. I defer to the Toyota engineers for that. But what we're towing is a, what is it, a 2023 Forest River Ibex 19 QTH. It's a toy hauler, so a little bit heavier tongue weight. I do have an ATV back there. The dry weight of that camper toy hauler is a little over 4,500 pounds, but with all the modifications I've made to it and my ATV inside it with some other gear, we are sitting at a little over 6,000 pounds. So here's the Scan Gauge 3. I have it kind of protruding out from its normal position. I normally have it tucked up really close and right above this vent, so it's a good viewing position for when I'm driving. It's not in my line of sight by any means, and it's tucked out of the way. I have the cord going down, plugged into the OBD2 sensor down below, and it just kind of wraps around my steering wheel, tucked up nice and tightly. The cord never moves, it never gets in the way of anything, it doesn't get in the way of the vent. I really like it there, but I have this set up right here so I can obviously record for the towing video. But here's the screen. I have the brightness turned up pretty darn high, but you can easily change between a lot of the different features, like speed. You can change it to whatever you want. You just select whichever feature and hit select, and then you can change each one of these individual features. Obviously there's a ton of different videos out on Scan Gauge 3s, so I'm not really going to go through that too much, but here's my mounting solution. I did purchase this insanely overpriced piece of metal from a company. It's custom fit to fit inside of the tray for these Tundras. I also purchased the bar that extends out, and then it's just a simple magnet mount for the Scan Gauge 3 screen, and they provide you the metal thing that you can stick on the back. This is a silicone sponge tray that I actually got off Amazon, and I kind of glued it down. So real quick, this tray is supposed to drill into this little cubby up here. You also, you notice they leave your 12-volt axis open. I didn't want to drill into that to secure this, so what I ultimately did was you have this little rubber tray that sits in the bottom that comes with the Tundras. I just kind of removed that, tossed that in my glove box, and I did just a little bit of super glue, or maybe I did Gorilla Glue to keep this down instead of drilling into it. When I don't want it anymore, or I want to move this unit out of this truck, I can just kind of rip it out, scrape off that super glue, and then put this tray down in there, and it looks OEM, back to factory. But yeah, that's the Scan Gauge 3 mount. I really like this setup. So this Tundra is just the regular V6 twin turbo, non-hybrid. And right now you can see our temps are holding pretty good. We're getting into the beginning of this climb. My transmission temperature has been, the trans fluid temp has been sitting at about 194 for the last like 40-50 miles or so, because we've been approaching the mountains, cruising through some passes. So in this climb, I want you to pay attention to the trans temps. I'll try my best to read them out, but my GoPro is kind of blocking them. The engine RPMs and the gear. This is a 10-speed automatic, if I haven't said that already. And obviously the coolant temps and the engine oil temps. But it's accelerated pretty hard, and I got it up and over 3,000. I typically don't do that on this climb. Usually I can make this entire climb without surpassing 2,500 RPM, or wait, without surpassing about 3,000. In normal commuting, the transmission temperatures, I've noticed, will hover right between like 130 to 160, 70. If you're in stop and go traffic and you've been driving for a while, especially in the summer heat, it'll get up to about 194. So there must be some sort of setting in the thermostat where it enables the, it opens the thermostat and it allows for additional cooling for the transmission at 194 degrees. The engine oil temperatures in regular commuting are typically between about, once you get up to operating temps, about like 205 to 220 at the most. So we're sitting at 221 right now. That's pretty good. Coolant temp 203, trans temp 196. Not bad. It's also a very cold day. It's been in the mid 30s for this whole trip. And my miles per gallon so far from leaving my house to now, about 95 miles ago, is 8.5, which is pretty bad. We are gaining in elevation though. So we're going from 250 feet to about 2,000 feet, both at the crest of this mountain and at our final destination, you know, many miles later. But 8.5, not too bad. We're going down like 8.4 now as we continue to climb. But I do have E-rated stock size tires on, and that has reduced my miles per gallon by about 1.5 kind of all around. So in city traffic and highway traffic and in just mixed driving, commuting back and forth to work and things, it's about a 1.5 mpg less than what I was getting before. So doing a round trip on this exact route, I typically get around 10 mpgs. So I think with the extra cold weather, the E-rated tires, I'm getting a little bit worse than normal. Obviously, it's always better on the return trip. And a big shout out to my buddy Alfonso. He's back there in his Viper ACR, or is it a Toyota Supra? It could be a Fiat, I forget. So he's recording me. Thanks brother, appreciate you. So we're still climbing. This GoPro really does flatten out all these inclines. So yeah, the GoPro is gonna probably make it look like I'm just traveling on flat ground. We are still climbing right now. Trans temps up to 205 and holding. So like, I'd be really curious, anyone with an engineering background, for how these transmission cooling systems work. Like, do they have like a series of temperatures where the thermostat will kind of open up or allow for additional cooling? Because at 194 it'll typically hold, and then as the temps rise at 205 it'll typically hold. I think during a summer trip, towing the same exact toy hauler with a little bit more weight in it on this exact pass, I did get up to 221 for about 30 seconds towards the top of the climb, and then it started to come back down pretty nicely. So not too bad. I've seen higher temps on other vehicles, and I've seen lower temps on other vehicles. In my 5th gen Toyota 4Runner, towing about 3,000 pounds on a utility trailer full of 2 ATVs and 2 dirt bikes on this same pass, I would very routinely see 230 to 245 on like some summer days. So I'm currently in tow haul mode, and I've got my gain set to about 5 or 6 maybe. And here we are cresting the pass. We're gonna get a nice welcome to West Virginia, wild and wonderful, from our GPS, but I'm currently in tow haul mode. And I'm gonna crank it into
West Virginia
Tow Haul Plus, and I'm also gonna increase my gain. Up. I just hit the starter button as I was trying to increase my gain. So I got the gain up to about 7 now. So descending a tow haul mode. Tow haul mode is, per the manual, is designated for pulling 5,000 pounds or lower. Tow Haul Plus is designated for towing a trailer over 5,000 pounds. I personally haven't seen a major difference in engine braking, or for these downhills. Sorry, I'm kind of driving. That guy was over the lines there, and it kind of threw me off. Yeah, I haven't seen a major difference in engine braking when it comes to Tow Haul versus Tow Haul Plus. They seem pretty similar. My foot is off the brake, by the way. We're just holding at a little under 4,000 RPMs. Trans temp 207, not bad. Again, it's a very cold day, so summertime, this would probably be up another 10 degrees, maybe at the most. Coolant temp 174, and engine oil 210, very good. Holding 3rd gear. I'm applying more brake here because I know we have a very sharp left-hander after this right. But the other things that tow haul mode do, I guess, like I don't know, it's going to affect your shifting and everything, but it also affects your steering a little bit because it is electronic power steering. But the major thing, the difference between Tow Haul and Tow Haul Plus that I have personally seen is its ability to allow you to get into your 8th gear. So Tow Haul mode, just cruising on like a pretty flat highway, maybe with some gentle rolling hills, 60, 70 miles per hour, you can get it into 8th gear, your first overdrive gear, pretty easily. It'll jump back down to 7 quite a bit, which is your 1-to-1, but I've never seen 9th or 10th gear in tow haul mode. In Tow Haul Plus, I rarely ever see 8th gear. You really got to be on a downhill. So I'm still foot off the brake. This is just engine braking. Now I can accelerate a little bit, downshift. So we got a nice open straightaway. Getting past. But not too bad. I'm actually pretty happy with these temperatures. Again, the highest I've ever seen was 221, and it was just for a brief moment. And it was a hot summer day pulling this exact trailer. So fuel economy still at 8.4. Now that we are descending, keeping it nice and slow just because it is close to freezing, a little bit above, a little bit of moisture on the road. Yeah, I've never seen 9th or 10th gear in tow haul mode, so I assume it locks those gears out. 203, trans temp, coolant temp 189. Engine oil temp 203, that's really low, wow. Boost pressure, obviously -10. And these turbos are tiny. I think the boost on these is like 14 to 15, 16-ish, that's it. And now we can accelerate here as we finish our descent. So yeah, if you have any questions about towing with this 3rd gen Tundra, again, I have the non-hybrid version. I'd be more than happy to help answer. I've pulled different trailers, mostly this Ibex here. I pulled in the summer, obviously I pulled in the wintertime. I don't have a ton of miles with this trailer yet, but it's definitely well over 1,000 now. So yeah, give me a shout. Let me try to answer any questions you got, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.